The question for today is how do you improve Microsoft Excel? Thank you all, and good afternoon to you all for spending time today. We'll be respectful for your time and what you are here for. So we'll start off with the interview. The question for today is how do you improve Microsoft Excel? Let's start with that. And thank you, Aishwarya, for signing up to do this.
Okay. Thank you, Arun. So I will just write the question. Before I start, I just want to let you know that I will be using Miro for this purpose during the interview. I will write few of the things first of all and then start sharing my screen. Will that be okay?
Yep, that should be fine.
So, Arun, since the question is about how to improve Microsoft Excel, I want to first ask some clarifying question. First of all, when we say how to improve Microsoft Excel, is there any specific goal in our mind, or has there been any insights that we got to know, and that's the reason we are moving forward in improving the Microsoft Excel, or is it free to assume for me right now?
You can make that assumption and let me know what assumption you are making. What do you think is the right goal for Microsoft Excel to solve?
Okay. Also, before we move ahead with the goal, I also want to ask Microsoft Excel is a tool that is generally used or predominantly in workspaces, and then there are colleges or casual users who use the product. Are we going to narrow down this user segment? Do you have any specific user segment in your mind that you want me to focus on? Or should I list down all the user segment and then I will prioritize one? How do you want to go about this?
Yeah, I think it's left to your discretion. So as you
Oh,
called out, there are workspace users, there are educational users, there are standalone users, there are businesses using it. There's anything that you can pick from. I'm flexible on that. No particular focus area.
okay. Okay. I just want to walk you through how I'm going to do this a specific interview. I'm going to take this particular interview. First of all, we have had our clarification questions. Then, second, what I'm going to do is think about the product vision or mission, like Microsoft Access. What's the vision of this, or what is the particular goal of Microsoft Excel? As well as I will look into the goal of the product and goal of the business as well. So let me just write it down and then I can start sharing my screen. Okay, so let me share my screen now and then I can take you through that. The thing is, we are going to improve Microsoft Excel and we have had our clarification questions. Now we are going to look into the what is the vision or maybe vision of this Excel. I broadly remember when I started using Excel, I it could be a tool to empower users to manage and like visualize their data effortlessly and efficiently. So, and the broader code that they were looking into was to um, give accessibility worldwide to users who want to analyze or who want to visualize their data effortlessly. So we can just write down that, visualize the data. Okay. And our audience was a worldwide audience. I would just write it because it was um, in their problem, in their region and mission. Now, when we are going to talk about product goal of specifically about this particular thing is since it is about visualization of data, the goal could be improvising data visualization experience. And if I can broadly talk about the business goal also, like the business side of the thing, it's about aligning with the increasing user engagement and satisfaction. that will potentially drive more subscriptions or licenses of Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Zoom. So that you can just write it down. More licenses, I would write. Okay. So now we understand what is the goal, what is the vision, and as from the like three of the things you can understand, I am specifically looking into improvising the data visualization experience, but at the same time increase the engagement of the user or maybe increase the satisfaction score. Now, if you ask me to have a broader version of goal, I would say since it is engagement, I would like to go with improving the usability factor of Microsoft Excel that could ultimately enhance or effect on the engagement or the satisfaction of our core users. Let me just type out that goal as well. Sorry, I'm being very detailed about this business goals, product goals, and vision, as I want to understand that, like, as I start diving directly into this exercise, I want to understand that we are focusing on one particular section and not navigating to a broader aspect of goals. So since it is about engagement, I want to see how Microsoft Excel can improve the usability factor. So, how usability factor?
Can I hold you for a second? Like, can I
Sure,
take a
sure.
pause and look back?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, engagement and satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
right, are
Correct.
very different metrics for me. And I know engagement can lead to satisfaction, or higher satisfaction can lead to greater engagement. But can we focus on one of these? Because the way we measure engagement or the way I look at satisfaction, these might be totally different goals. So, can we
Mm-hmm.
focus on one of them?
Okay, I was including both engagement and satisfaction and then arriving at usability. But when I think about satisfaction, it closely aligns with usability point of view. So I would like to go with the satisfaction factor, satisfaction of users, whatever the user segment that we select afterwards. Does that sound good?
Okay, should be fine.
Okay, so I will just remove the driving user engagement. I will driving user satisfaction, potentially driving more licenses. So the goal is how usability factor can be improved for Microsoft Excel. Now that we know Microsoft is used broadly in workspaces, it is used in colleges or schools, or it can be used in clerical jobs. Like I'm keeping workspaces as in, let's say, private sector, and then there could be government sector. At the second factor, I can have users segmented in different way is based on the experience or expertise of Excel. So if I talk about the expertise of Excel, then it could be the beginners, it could be the intermediate level users, and then it could be someone who has been using it for years and who is advanced level. These are two ways that I can classify my user segments. Does that sound good? I will go with the based on the years of experience or based on the expertise of using that tool. I will segment those users. Does that sound good
Okay.
to you?
Can we, years of experience versus usability of the product? So, are we saying years of experience in working on the tool, or years of experience in career in general? Are
Years
you
of experience working with the tool.
okay? So, you are measuring this by the technical um, understanding of the tool, or the basic high level understanding as amateur, mediate, or expert, right?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Beginners,
Yeah.
intermediate, and advanced. like three user segments that I will take.
Okay, great.
Oh, so when I'm talking about beginners, intermediate, and advanced, I'm talking from the point of view combining everyone, whether it is a college student or whether it is someone who is new at a workspace. It depends, since it depends on the years of experience. I'm going to say that beginners who has started working on the product very recently, working with the tool very recently. Then when it comes to intermediate, I would say they use casually, they don't use regularly, but at the same time they have somewhere around less than 1 years of experience with the tool, less than 1 year. Then when we talk about advanced, these are people who are uh, daily engaged with this tool, so they are using it in almost daily, and they have experience around more than 1 year, obviously, but let's say they have experience about 2 plus years. So this is what I'm going to engage with. So these are the user segments that I will be going with. And to since again, just to define for how we came over here, since we are looking into the usability factor and we want to improve the usability to drive more licenses, I feel that as a beginners who are just getting ready, we don't want to lose upon the potential users that we will get from them. At the same time, we want to improve the usability factors for beginners, as they are the new people to this tool and they want to get familiar with these tools. So starting using this tool could be a challenging factor for any one of us. Whenever we start using any tool, it's a challenge for us, and sticking to it, that curve of sticking to it will only surpass after we keep using it, or maybe if we feel like it's getting aligned with how we use the tool, we are capable enough to use the tool. So increasing the usability factor at that specific sweet spot, or when a beginner tries to engage with the tool, is what I feel is the most crucial one for this factor. So I will be going ahead with the beginners for this specific thing. But at the same time, since we are talking about the user needs, I will specify user needs for all of these three user segments, and then I will just narrow down to beginners. Does that sound good?
Okay, there is a slight contradiction here. So when we say we
Mm-hmm.
want to improve the usability, I would assume the usability is highest for an advanced user, right? Because this is a user who's using this on a daily basis. So if I have to
Mm-hmm.
improve usability, shouldn't I be focusing on advanced? Beginner, as you said, have their own friction of getting started with the tool. Maybe they don't even know all the capabilities of the tool. And also there might be certain areas, if I want to experiment or launch something new, these might not be the right audience. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so when we are talking about advanced level, obviously there are going to be frictions of that kind of thoughts. But when to give you an example, if I'm an advanced user, I already know the shortcuts. I already know the few of the things that I want to get my work to be done. So it's very easy for me to find those shortcuts. But when I'm talking about a beginner, he doesn't have a quite good amount of walkthrough of that product. He doesn't know how he is going to access that product in a particular way. So that is the reason I'm focusing, or maybe inclining more towards the beginners and not towards the advanced level of the users. Does that answer your question, or should I like
No,
stick?
that's a decent rationale, and I understand where you are coming from. So these users already know their usability is high. That's why not focusing on them. That's why falling back on the beginners category. Should be good. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, sure. Then we're going to talk about the pain points. Going to mark this red so that Just give me a few minutes while I write down the user needs.
Yep, no worries.
So this is what, with the interest of time, I think I will go on the beginners pain points. So the first pain point that I can think of, if when I'm saying they are using Excel as a tool, obviously they're going to use it to analyze the data first of all. And second is whenever they have to create something, here I will take a chart as a main pointer. So they are creating chart or any of the visualization data metric, then they don't know or not unsure about how to do that. It's a very complex process for them. The second is the onboarding or the tutorials that they receive at the start. Of course, there are some kinds of tutorials that the Microsoft is still giving for the beginning. We all know the user behavior. They will just skip through it. They won't read it at all. They might need onboarding or tutorials or tips in between when they face some issue or maybe come to an error message. And the third is about prevention of error handling. I myself use Excel as well, and there are other people, and I would kind of consider myself somewhere between beginners and intermediate level because we don't use Excel a lot for our daily work. And when it comes about the error handling, I'm talking about when we perform an action or operation on Excel and it does not quite fit into that system well, then it will show us error. But we won't understand what is the error and what is the formula that we are not getting correct to have that error shown just in front of us. And the fourth point is not knowing the shortcuts. As the advanced level person, they might be aware about the shortcuts that they have to do. Maybe if they want to fill a series, then they know that how to do it. But for a beginner level, they will just do everything manually, and this will be a problem. Like doing everything manually is also a limitation for a user, for a beginner user. So these are the 4 to 5 points that I'm considering for a beginner level user for with the tool. Are we good with this?
Yep,
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay. So then I will talk about. Before that, let me just create a little bit of user journey. So then, or let me do the user journey based on whatever the issues that we got. So first is the onboarding of it, and we clearly have the lack of onboarding, um, tutorials. Then comes the getting hands-on or maybe getting started with the tool. At this time, let's say I would think of both of these things might equally be, maybe I will just say complexity of creating charts. And when I'm talking about charts, I just as a thing I'm noted that down, but it could be something else as well. Creating or performing any actions. Performing any actions. Then, as we go around, um, there are some setbacks. So during the setbacks in the journey of user journey of the beginner, it could be the prevention of error handling. And then at the last, when they are trying to use the tool, or maybe trying to get aligned with the tool, understand the tool, then engaging with the tool, I would say, can talk about not knowing the shortcuts and doing everything manually. So these are the things, like when a user, a beginner starts using the Excel, when he onboards, he first has issue of not having, even though there are some order or onboarding or tutorials, still they will skip through it and they won't understand Excel quite a lot. Then they will go just start performing their actions, maybe start putting out numbers, start putting out data. And that's one more point, that they might find it complex or difficult to perform. Then comes the setbacks. After performing the operation or after fitting in the data, they might see some issues or maybe errors over there, and they won't know exactly how to switch from those. And then comes the engaging part, when they are using it for, like, they have started using it, but then after some time, then when they're continue using them, they are not very sure about the shortcuts, and it is creating some kind of a barrier for them to actively engage with the tool. So these are the four user journeys pointed out with the pain points that we listed above. Now, prioritizing one of the needs from here, I feel that, of course, onboarding is as important as it is, but when it comes to usability, I think it's the setback that is more being like a barrier for them. So, I would like to prioritize setbacks from the journey, user journey setbacks, which is prevention of error handling, and then might also cover some part of the shortcuts as well. That can go along pretty well with each other. How does that sound to you, Arun?
Yep, that sounds okay. That's a fine problem to solve. So you'll be looking at the setbacks that these people face while trying to do certain tasks, and then of course how do they go about finding the right shortcuts.
Okay, so yes, so we have done the prioritization of setbacks and engaging. Now, talking about the solution, but before I go to solution, I will again take you through the clarifying thing, all these things. We are going with the goal of improving usability for beginners. And when we listed down the pain points, we have included the journey of setbacks and engaging, that is prevention of error handling, as well as not knowing the shortcuts or doing things manually, which are causing barriers for these beginners. And now, if we start talking about the solution, first of all, if we just give me a few minutes to type down the solution and think about on that. Okay, and first, let me know what are the solutions for prevention of error handling I'm thinking about. So over here, I'm thinking of someone such as a assistant wizard, or someone like an assistant who will come to my help. Let's say if I commit a operation mistake on Excel, and I want I'm not sure about what exactly is the mistake, then I'm thinking of an assistant wizard. when I when I clicked on that particular tool or maybe particular feature of Excel, then I would understand what exactly is the mistake that I've created and how I can rectify it. So this is like a prompt message whenever I'm not sure, like it shows me some error, but I'm not sure what is the error. And if I click on that assistant wizard, maybe let's say it's somewhere lying around as a maybe FAB, that is floating action button, or maybe somewhere on the header section. So this is one thing that we can do for solution. The second thing that we can do for solution is whenever a user is trying to perform an activity and he is taking a long cut rather than taking a shortcut that is easily available on Microsoft Excel. Since he is a beginner, he doesn't know what is the shortcut. And if let's say Excel is on the online mode, this is something that I can think of when the Excel is in the online mode right now and not the offline mode. So when Excel is in the online mode, it can understand what the what the user is performing or what action the user is trying to perform. And if he's taking the long cut, and if the Excel can understand what is the thing that he's trying to do, and if he can prompt in between that rather than doing this, you can also perform this action or get the same output by doing this. So allowing them to understand what are the shortcuts and allowing them to understand how they can do it efficiently rather than taking the long cut are the two solutions that I can think of right now. How does that sound to you?
Yep, that sounds good.
So let me go ahead with these two solutions for now, since I was trying to increase the usability factor at the same time, keeping in mind that the user has already started using the Excel. He's performing some actions, and at the same time, when he's performing the action, he wants to try to know what are the shortcuts, and that's why the solutions can come in handy for them. Now, to evaluate the solution, what could be, let's say, I would talk about the pitfall or risk of the solution at first. So, the pitfall could be I will first take a short version. As I said, it could be only available in the online mode. I I need to understand how it works at the backend to know that if it will give the exact result for the potential users. But having this thing only in online mode will restrict a lot of users who are trying to do it in offline version on offline mode. And by the thing of them being a beginner, I can surely understand that these people are already on the offline, maybe working on the offline version rather than the online version. They are not maybe collaborating with anyone else. That's why they feel keeping it offline would make more sense for them. The second thing, or maybe the pitfall that I can think about, prompting solution or maybe ways to rectify the mistake having the assistant in hand, is even though the assistant is prompting the what are the how you can handle the error, how you can do that particular thing, finding the assistant itself will be challenging at the start for this user, since these are beginners. They are not sure about what could be done over here. So maybe keeping the assistant in some format or some way that it grabs the attention of the user, like how we can maybe negotiate with the risk is making it more prominent for the beginners, or maybe instead of having tutorials at the start, we can just let them know that they have an assistant in hand. So whenever they have the issue, whenever they feel they are stuck somewhere, they can reach out to that assistant instead of going through the long messages of tutorial. This will also help them not consume a lot of time in reading through the material of onboarding. And as we know that as per the psychology of any new user, they are more excited towards jumping onto the tool rather than reading through the documents. So this is one way that we can do. And as I'm talking about having assistant in handy at the start, telling that at the onboarding stage itself, maybe it could also serve the purpose for onboarding. Instead of having those messages, we can have we can let the user know where you can find the assistant whenever you have problem. So it's about whenever they come across this issue, they can find a solution by themselves. They don't have to go to some messages or maybe some external help. They can always find every help inside the tool itself. So this is what I can think of the pitfalls of both the solution, as that at the same time giving how maybe we can rectify the pitfall or the risk. So the final summary of this could be, as we started with how to improve Microsoft Excel, we
Okay,
did not have.
can
Yeah.
can I stop you for one thing? Can you tell
Mhm.
me, once you launch this assistant and shortcut auto detection feature, how would you measure the success of this?
Are you talking about the auto detection thing, or are you talking
Either
about
of them,
the?
whichever you are launching in the first 6 months, how would
Okay.
you detect if it is successful or not?
Okay, so it depends on. I would first look at the number of people who are going to try, who are new to this app, because we are looking for the beginners who have started working on Excel recently for the first 6 months, and then I will see from those people, number of people, how many number of, like, or maybe the percentage of people have started actually engaging with the assistant. So it will give me idea of how many people have actually going or reaching out to the assistant by themselves. And the second thing is, after knowing how many people are reaching out to the assistant, how many after a few times, how many people, let's say, reach out to the assistant for in one use, how many times they reach out to the user, 2 or 3 times, or let's say how long they keep engaging with this assistant, is what I would think of to measure the success of this tool or the feature that we have launched.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions for me, or
No,
should
no, no, we
I
can. Yeah.
summarize?
Mm.
Okay. To summarize whatever we done till now, so we started with the goal of how to improve Microsoft Excel. We did not have any particular focus or user on users and code. Then the second thing is, we were looking on the vision and mission of this Microsoft Excel, which was to visualize data effortlessly worldwide, serving the audience worldwide. Then we went to product goal, which was to improvise data visualization experience for users. And then we went ahead with the business. What could be the business goal, which was driving user satisfaction, potentially driving more licenses. Initially, we also had engagement, but since there was parity between these two metrics, we thought of going ahead with the satisfaction. And since we were focusing on how usability factor can be improved, we identified 3 users based on the years of experience or the how they use the tool. So we had beginners, intermediate, and advanced. Looking at the goal and the business goal, we understood that beginners is the criteria. Beginners is the user segment that we would like to focus on more. We described the pain points that they had. First was complexity of creating charts, lack of onboarding tutorials, prevention of error handling, and not knowing the shortcuts. We tried to map those to each of the user journey of that specific user that was beginner. And then we went ahead with the setbacks, which is prevention of error handling. We prioritized that and again went ahead with the solution. We had 2 solutions. First was prompting solutions, where maybe ways to rectify the mistake. This is something that the user reaches out to the assistant wizard whenever he sees that there is an error. And second solution was having a shortcut tutorial in between. When a user is performing an action, once he performs the action, then there will be a prompt or a messages from the system itself saying that to achieve this output, you can also do this. So this is something that is that the user can't reach out to, but it's something that is given to him on the online mode. And then we evaluated weights based on the pitfalls, and based on that, we thought of going ahead with prompting solution or maybe ways to rectify the mistake with the assistant wizard that we had. So yeah, that was all for this entire product improvement exercise. And yeah, that's all. Thank you, Arun, for like giving me guidance in between.
Okay, and unlike software engineering or coding questions, which are very objective, there is only one right answer. PM interviews are subjective. It's about coming to a common understanding, and it's like a place where you both try to solve the problem. So this feedback that I'll be sharing might be subjective. Of course, this is based on what we look at hiring when we do hiring at Microsoft, or what I've been trained on. Different companies might have different perspective. At a very high level, we'll be trying to bucket this into the six categories that you see on your screen. Few things that I would want to call out in general, that I really liked about Aishwarya was, one, she was continuously talking while she was solving the problem. That's a good thing that you can do while you are solving these questions, because if there is any sort of misalignment between the two of you, you can stop her and ask, okay, why are you thinking this way and why not this? If you do all your brainstorming without talking it out, and if you just keep typing, it becomes very difficult to interject or stop the other person. Second, in between two times, she brought me to a common place where she said, okay, we have solved this much till now, we have understood the problem statement, we have actually gone ahead and done the persona. That's also very good to keep yourself grounded in knowing, okay, what exactly am I solving for and how much progress I have made. So that was also fantastically done well. One observation, and which I generally share around interviews, is using a Miro, using a Notion, using a document is something that works out well for a few people, is something that does not work out. So take that with a pinch of salt. Do practice 8 or 10 interviews before you actually start giving your interviews. Know if it works out well for you or not, and in 45 minutes, can you actually do justice in all that typing and speaking? Generally, on paper works for me. So if you see, I have written all of this down, and whenever I want to speak to my interview, I would just probably flash this paper and say, okay, this is what I've done. Does it make sense? Are you able to see it? Right? Because I gain my speed and thought of mind by um, probably drawing it on paper and sharing. So that's individual discussion. I'll talk about all of these in phase by phase. But if anyone in general, or Aishwarya, starting with you, if you have any feedback for me or how your experience was with the interview, we can start with that.
Okay, I'm on. So my experience overall was good because doing it in front of a lot of people, it does give you a bit of anxiety, but at the same time, I was being I was felt assured by you that okay, you are going in good direction, or maybe you can look into this, and what is your thought process behind that. So you were asking the question, but at the same time you were making me assured that yes, this is the correct part, or maybe this is a good part, but this is up to you that how you would perform at the end. So that I felt it was good. And talking about using Miro and Mural, yes, that's one of the maybe advice or tip I got from some of my previous mock interviews, that I usually use Miro only, and being a designer, it's very handy tool for me. But like whenever you feel like you can't keep talking while typing out, just let the interviewer know that you will be typing for a few seconds, and then you can continue, so that the interviewer is not just questioning like why does she stop talking in between. So yeah, that's all from me for now.
Yeah. No, that's fantastically well spoken. So while you are typing, if you are also speaking and interacting with your interviewer, that definitely helps. So we'll go by these individual sections, and I'll try to tell you what was good and what can be improved. I know a lot of people have already done the feedback, so you can look at the feedback and the chat. Also, people have said what went well, what couldn't have. I'm just building on top of that. So, okay, clarifying questions. I think some questions were really good where you said, okay, we have a product which operates online, offline, and we have a mobile and a desktop version, which is that we are focusing on. There was also a clear thought around, I want to build on the vision and mission statement of Microsoft and Excel, and I'll take it from there, right? And it was around a 2.5 or 3 out of 5. What could have been improved in this part is there a timeline or a budget constraint for us, especially when you improve a product? If you put yourself under timeline, so creating like a wizard or auto detection of soft shortcuts, might not be done in 3 months. If I give a strict timeline to you saying, okay, it has to be done only in 3 months, right? Then do you have a particular geography in mind? Do you have a particular customer segment in mind? Or do you have any particular demography in mind? Also helps. Not just asking desktop or mobile. Because if I am looking to improve this only for people who are using Excel with SQL databases connections, right? That narrows down your problem, right? And that also helps you in uh, maybe brainstorming in depth on a particular vertical. So that could have also been a question. And when you say what is the metric, don't probably leave an open-ended approach in saying, okay, what are you looking to solve, or what is that I should be solving for? Probably give examples. So I would say I can improve Excel for revenue by increasing the number of subscriptions that are there. I can improve Excel for engagement by increasing the number of task success rates or the number of sessions that a user does per time. I can increase the adoption of Excel by bringing in new audience which is not already using it. I can think of these different sort of metrics. Which one do you want me to focus on? What this does is it actually tells your interview that you understand the entire spectrum of metrics also. It's not just one piece that you're leaving open ended and you're asking your interviewer. But I think you did well there. Second part, understanding core jobs to be done. Now this is where I think you gave an attempt in explaining the product, but take a pause and write down your entire set of jobs that a user does on Excel. And I think this was the most underwhelming part. Reason being, it starts with installation, data entry, connecting with data pipelines, loading your data, entering your data, cleaning your data, right? Then analyzing your data, visualizing your data, adding formulas to it, collaborating with people, right? And there is so much of spectrum that comes to Excel with this. If you just define that it is a tool which is used for data entry, data cleaning, data visualization, data insights, collaboration, automation, macros, repeat task, but then you go ahead and say, okay, out of this, let's see. Because if I look at intermediate, if I look at advanced, and if I look at beginner level, within this segment someone might be an expert in data entry, but they might not be even an intermediate in data analysis, right? If you define these core jobs to be done by the user on the product, then you can ask, are we looking to improve this on a certain section of the product? Like, are we looking at data entry, data analysis, data insights, or are we just looking at visualization, which was mostly where you were focusing on? You were looking at charts and visualizations and formulas, right? That happens once your data load and data entry is done. So that again is, and for an entry level role, I think you did fair. One caveat to the broader audience, not every interview that you go into you will know the mission or vision of the company. With Microsoft it's easy, and we were planning that we will do a Microsoft question, so it was easy for Aishwarya to know, okay, Microsoft's vision is enabling every organization and every person on earth to do more, and the vision of products is democratizing data entry and data visualization at Excel. If you don't know that, it's fair to say that I'm making an assumption of the mission and mission of the product of Paytm, which might be making easier P2P, P2M transactions. Is this fair, or do you think there is another vision or mission? But I think you did really well, Aishwarya, where you you took a step back and you actually read the vision and mission, because before you start solving, you should know what the product or the company stands for. So that was really well. Coming to identifying one clear goal. Now, the problem here was there was no one clear goal. There was satisfaction and uh,
Engagement.
engagement, and I had to nudge you towards how exactly are you coming to usability. So what does not get measured is not a right goal. So now when you look at the final metrics that you told me two metrics. One was how many people are using this and what is their usage frequency of this. Both of these are adoption, these are not usability goals. So if you cannot measure usability clearly, usability would be, someone put it in the chat also, right? I try to do something, I'm able to successfully achieve that, and then I say, okay, your assistant or your wizard helped me. So that conversion is usability. A user started with a task and their intent was clear. So when you are defining your goal, also try to define how would you measure it, so that when you finally solve the solution and when you finally get there, you are saying, okay, I defined this usability as the goal, this is how I was planning to measure it, so this is my north star metric now, and I will probably break it down into L1 and L2. So that was probably a 2 out of 5. Then user pains and gains from goals. I think Before that, you defined the user segment, and there was a sort of to and fro between, okay, there are government jobs, there are private jobs, right? And then there was usage of the product, and there was work experience. Don't randomize your interviewer and interview with so many thoughts. Just keep it at one level, saying the fluency with the tool or years of experience with the tool. Similarly, when you were defining the numbers of how much as an amateur, advanced, or middle level person uses, you said that casual user uses it, but at what frequency? You said an expert is using it every day. Maybe an intermediate is using once or twice in a week, and a casual is using once a month. That objective criteria has to be very, very, very clear for all the three categories. Otherwise, you are not doing apples to oranges comparison. I know for an expert it's once per day, but for the other two, how much is the frequency of usage, right? So that could have been better. Now, there was also in between a to and fro between usability, and you were saying I will also increase the number of licenses that are being sold for Excel. Licenses or subscriptions being sold is revenue. That's not usability. So try not to hop between metrics, because that might lead to show in an indication of not clear decision making, right? um, Identifying pain points, and I don't know if it's me. Okay, I can see the screen now. User pains and gains. Pain points were really good to the constraint that you had put. It was nice, but I think you had masked certain pain points as solutions. So onboarding tutorials is a solutions. It's not a pain point. Pain point is when I get started, I don't know how to navigate inside the tool. The solution to that is onboarding tutorials. Does that make sense? Is there that difference? Can you see?
Yes.
You said the pain point is onboarding tutorials. Onboarding tutorials not being efficient is a pain point, or
Uh,
current onboarding tutorials not being self-explanatory is the pain point.
yes. So to explain that, I wrote lack of onboarding slash tutorials.
Exactly. Lack of onboarding tutorials, or saying errors happening while I'm trying to do task, rather than saying prevention of error handling. Prevention of error handling is again a solution,
Correct.
right? So try to read your pain points, but I think the pain points were good. I would give a 3.5 out of 5. It was really well. I really loved the part where you drew the user journey, and with user journey you could map out where does each of these pain points sit. That gives a clear understanding of, okay, we are focusing on the rightmost part of the user journey where it is end. So that was fine. Prioritization was also good. It will be good to have some objective criteria rather than just saying that I will pick setback as the pain point. On what basis are you picking? Is it impact on user? Is it impact on business? Is it impact on metric? Or is it just your gut feeling? Your gut feeling can be very different than my gut feeling. Subjective prioritization does not fly. You have these frameworks of Moscow. You could have said, okay, must have, should have, could have feature, or you could have said rice. You cannot do rice on pain points, but you could have done Moscow, or you could have done a Kano and said, okay, this is a must have pain point, that's why I'm prioritizing it. The others are should have and could have. So try to bring in some objective prioritization. That's why probably a 2.5. Finally, I think measuring impact accurately was not there. It was not up to the mark. It was just 1.5 out of 5, because you gave me adoption metrics. There was no usability metric. There was no North Star L1 L2 framework. Like there was no um, core metric, and then what? How would you measure that? Right? And I had to nudge you towards that just to check, are you able to connect the story together? If you start solving for something, and then at the end the metric that you have for that, if it's all stitched together, then you have solved the problem, right? If the metric is not clear in your head, then probably what you have solved for is also not something that will translate to the right vision. I loved the piece around trade-offs, right? You spoke the trade-offs. You said these two solutions can only work in the online mode. That was fantastic, right? And the other one also about discovery itself, like discovery of the product cannot be solved by the product itself. So that was also a fantastic trade-off. Not a lot of candidates should do that. So I really love that part of you yourself evaluating what can go wrong if I take these solutions up. Yeah, I hope that helps the audience and you with the feedback.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arun, with the feedback. I think I got a very good insight. Like got good insights from this. At the same time, I have noted down what needs to be, what I can improve in future. And talking about the jobs to be done, I think that's what I specifically missed in the entire exercise.